You've driven through one 100 times without thinking about it. A car pulls forward, foam sprays across the windshield in blue and pink, brushes spin, and 90 seconds later a stranger's car comes out looking brand new. It feels almost too simple to be a real business. But here's the part nobody tells you. That premium wax coating you just paid $4 extra for costs the owner somewhere around 12 cents a car. That neon blue foam isn't a special formula. It's dyed water and a few ounces of concentrated soap, run through a nozzle engineered to look expensive. The entire industry is built on convincing you that 90 seconds of automated spraying is worth $15, $20, sometimes $30. And it works. So what does it actually take to own one of these machines that turns water into money? Let's start with the number that matters first. The entry price. There isn't just one way in. A small self-service wash, the kind with a few open bays and a coin box, can get you started for somewhere around $150,000. Low labor, low complexity, low ceiling. An in-bay automatic, the kind where your car pulls into one stall and a single rotating arm does the work, sits in the middle. More throughput than self-service. Less than a tunnel, usually somewhere between $300,000 and $600,000 depending on the equipment. Then there's the one everyone actually pictures when they imagine owning a car wash. The automated express tunnel. Cars roll through on a conveyor while brushes, blowers, and foam cannons do the work in under 2 minutes. Land, building, tunnel equipment, water reclamation systems, signage. You're typically looking at $800,000 to $1.5 million before you've washed a single car. Some fully built turnkey sites run past $2 million. This isn't a lemonade stand. This is closer to buying a small factory that happens to wash cars instead of building them. So why do people still line up to do it? Because once it's built, the math starts moving in your favor, fast. Say you charge $9 for a basic wash. 10 cars an hour, 12 hours a day. That's already over $1,000 a day just from walk-ups. But walk-ups aren't where the real money lies. The real money is in the subscription. You offer unlimited washes for $25 a month. A customer who washes their car twice a month is now paying you more than a walk-up customer would pay for 4 separate visits. Get 200 people onto that membership. That's $5,000 a month, recurring, whether they show up or not. Get to 1,000 members, a realistic number for a well-located tunnel in a busy corridor, and that's $25,000 a month landing in your account before a single walk-up customer even pulls in. That's $300,000 a year from memberships alone, sitting there every month like clockwork. Then you stack the extras. A vacuum bay charges $2 for 5 minutes. Pure margin, no labor. Interior wipe downs, tire shine, a ceramic spray sealant that takes 90 seconds to apply and costs almost nothing to buy in bulk. Each one adds another $8 to $15 per car, and roughly 1 in 5 customers buys at least one. Add a fleet contract with a local delivery company or a used car dealership. Guaranteed weekly volume, invoiced monthly, locked in for a year, at margins north of 40%. Now you're not running a car wash. You're running 4 small businesses stacked inside one building. Well-run tunnel operations pull in anywhere from $25,000 to over $100,000 a month in total revenue, depending on location and traffic. That's the number that gets people excited. It's also the number that hides the real story. Here's what you'd actually take home. Gross revenue isn't profit. Water, electricity, chemicals, insurance, and labor eat into that number fast. Even a lean operation is running 60 to 70% of revenue just to keep the doors open and the brushes spinning. Chemicals alone can run several $1,000s a month once you're washing real volume. Labor, even at a tunnel wash where machines do most of the physical work, still needs greeters, vacuum attendants, and someone managing the front register during peak hours. After all of it, a well-managed car wash typically nets somewhere between 10 and 30% as actual profit. On a location doing $50,000 a month in revenue, that's realistically $5,000 to $15,000 a month landing in your pocket. Not the $50,000 the top line number made you picture. It's a real income. It's just a smaller slice than the headline suggests, and that gap between revenue and what you actually keep is exactly where most first-time owners get their expectations wrong. And that gap is only half the story, because for the first year or two, most of that slice doesn't even reach you. If you finance the build, and almost everyone does, your loan payment comes out before you see a cent. Most new car washes don't break even until somewhere between 18 months and 3 years after opening. That's a year and a half, sometimes 3 years, of the business technically making money while the owner takes home close to nothing, because nearly all of it is going straight to the bank that financed the tunnel, the land, and the equipment. This is the part that wrecks most people who try this. Not bad location, not bad service, dead service. Someone sees the $25,000 a month membership math, gets excited, finances the whole build at the top of their budget, and doesn't account for the 18 to 36-month runway where the loan eats almost everything the business makes. They run out of cash reserves in month 14, right before the location was about to turn the corner into real profitability. The car wash didn't fail. The owner's runway did. That distinction matters, because it means the failure isn't really about whether the business model works. It's about whether the person running it can survive long enough to let it work. The ones who make it treat the first 2 years like a countdown, not a payday. They keep 6 months of operating cash in reserve before they ever open the doors, untouched, regardless of how good early sales look. They negotiate membership pricing aggressively from day one instead of waiting to build volume slowly, because recurring revenue is what actually shortens that break-even runway. And they resist the urge to overbuild. A slightly smaller, well-located tunnel that reaches break-even in 18 months beats a bigger, more impressive one that takes 3 years to become real income, even if the bigger one looks better from the road. There's another number worth knowing before you get too far into the dream. Most owners don't pay for a build like this in cash. They go through the Small Business Administration, using an SBA loan that typically covers 70 to 90% of the total project cost, which means you'd still need somewhere between $80,000 and $200,000 of your own money as a down payment, depending on the size of the build. Banks want to see experience, a real business plan, and proof you understand throughput and membership math before they'll release that kind of capital, which is exactly why so many first-time owners end up going through a franchise instead of building independently. It isn't just about the brand name. It's about walking into the bank with a proven, bankable system instead of a spreadsheet full of assumptions. And once the loan is approved and the equipment is running, you become a manager of people almost as much as a manager of machines. A tunnel wash needs greeters to guide cars into the entrance, vacuum attendants to keep the lot moving during peak hours, and someone trained on the equipment itself who can tell the difference between a normal jam and a $5,000 motor failure before it becomes one. Payroll for a mid-sized tunnel location typically runs somewhere between $8,000 and $15,000 a month, and turnover is high because the work is physical, outdoors, and often minimum wage plus tips. The owners who build a real income from this business usually aren't the ones scrubbing rims themselves. They're the ones who figured out how to keep a reliable manager on site, so the business runs whether they're there or not. Seasonality is another thing the glossy version of this business leaves out. Car washes are, somewhat counterintuitively, often busiest right after it rains, not during dry stretches, because people want the salt and grime off their car the moment the weather clears. But in colder climates, winter can bring a surge from road salt, while summer droughts in other regions bring watering restrictions that limit hours or shut a location down entirely for weeks at a time. A location in the Southwest and a location in the Midwest are, financially speaking, almost two different businesses wearing the same building. Location does more work in this business than almost any other decision you'll make. A tunnel wash on a high-traffic commuter route with a signal light forcing cars to slow down right at the entrance can out-earn a nicer, newer facility tucked 1 block off the main road. Traffic count, visibility from the road, and how easy it is to turn in without missing the entrance matter more than the equipment brand you choose. Plenty of owners spend their whole budget on the tunnel technology and treat the real estate as an afterthought, then wonder why a competitor with older equipment on a better corner is outperforming them 2 to 1. You'd also be stepping into a specific chain of relationships most people don't think about going in. Equipment manufacturers who sell you the tunnel systems and lock you into service contracts for replacement parts, because a broken brush motor on a Saturday morning is lost revenue you can't get back. A local water utility that treats high-volume car washes differently than residential customers, sometimes requiring water reclamation and recycling systems just to get permitted, especially in drought-prone regions. Franchise brands who will happily sell you their name, their marketing playbook, and their proven build spec for an upfront franchise fee plus a percentage of monthly revenue. A real option if you want a tested system and don't want to figure out membership pricing from scratch. A real ongoing cost if you'd rather keep every dollar for yourself and build your own brand. And membership software companies who take a small percentage of every subscription you sign up in exchange for handling the recurring billing, cancellations, and customer app you'd otherwise have to build and chase down yourself. You'll also notice most car washes advertise themselves as eco-friendly, water-saving, environmentally responsible. Some of that is real. Modern tunnel washes do reclaim and reuse a significant portion of their water compared to washing a car at home, where runoff carries soap and oil straight into storm drains. But a good portion of the eco branding on the sign outside is also just smart marketing sitting on top of a requirement you'd have had to meet anyway. since most municipalities won't permit a high-volume wash without a water reclamation system in the first place. You're not just buying an eco-friendly business because you wanted to be one. In most cities, it's the price of the permit. There's also a competitive layer that catches new owners off guard. Car washes cluster. Once one location proves a corridor is profitable, 2 or 3 competitors often follow within a couple of years, and membership pricing becomes the real battlefield. Whoever can sustain the lowest membership price the longest usually wins the corridor, which means your break-even math needs room to survive a price war you didn't start. None of this is a warning to stay away. It's the actual shape of the business, the part that never makes it into the 90 seconds and $20 version people see from the driver's seat. Because here's the thing about that dyed blue foam and the 12-cent wax coating. The person paying for it isn't being tricked, not really. They're paying for convenience, for the 7 minutes they didn't have to spend with a hose and a bucket in their own driveway on a Saturday. The real skill in this business was never fooling anyone. It was building a machine efficient enough to make convenience profitable at scale, one car, one membership, one 90-second wash at a time. None of it happens by accident, and almost none of it is visible from the driver's seat, which is exactly why the business keeps working. So the next time you pull through one, watch the water hit the windshield a little differently. You're not just watching your car get clean. You're watching a business model that took someone 18 months of debt, several $100,000, and one very specific piece of recurring revenue math to build, turning water, 12 cents of wax, and your 7 minutes into one of the more quietly reliable small businesses in the country.